Alright, guys, welcome back to Galaxy Club Mission fucking Lightspeed. We got the next episode in Wave 2. How's everyone feeling?
All right.
Feeling
Pretty
great.
good.
I'm
feeling
feeling
like
good.
a sweep, I gotta be honest.
Can't complain.
The what?
The Gummer sweep.
Gummer fucking lost. He took the fucking L.
Not in my heart.
He's the people's champion.
Exactly.
Gummer.
We're all a couple of Burt stands here.
But we're not talking about fucking Burt Gummer. We're talking about Cheetos versus Takis as our fucking first one. It looks like. Who the hell who's going for who in this, by the way? Before I read the scenario.
Butters for Cheetos and DJs for Takis.
Damn, I just can't say my own character. Holy shit!
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay,
just
well,
speaking over us.
Scenario
Really
says,
excited to get this one done.
Which would make a better Sour Patch Kids flavor? Judged based on color appeal, taste, and dust. Must be flaming hot and Fugo? I don't know.
That's a spicy version.
Yeah,
Holy
right.
shit, Max!
I don't eat spicy.
That's one of the
Whitest
weirdest things
human
I've heard from
being.
you, and that's saying something.
Oh, God.
I don't eat the spicy food.
Fugo? Let's
Oh
put
my
up a
God.
fucking a render of Fugo from part 5.
Well, you cannot composite flavors, so go ahead. Cheeto starts.
Alright, who's... Okay.
Alright, so starting with Cheetos. I'm going to start with the flavor first because I feel that that's the biggest issue that people are going to go for, which is ill cheese in a candy. But I've been looking into it, and first, there are just plenty of desserts out there that have cheese in them. Like from spicy cheesecakes, goat cheese pudding, parfaits, etc., etc. Like kanafe too is a popular Turkish dish which has a lot of cheese in it. As well, there are cultures that have cheese-based candies, like in Japan or even America to a small degree. So I don't think that that's immediately going to knock them off the table. Plus, there are also a bunch of different kinds of sweet Cheetos that they've made, and they've taken the cheese just out of Cheetos before, like the cinnamon ones, where that's just cinnamon, not cheese, and it's still called a Cheeto.
You have to... It has to be flaming hot. You can't...
Yeah,
you can't
it's
fucking...
No.
you can't skirt
Yeah, that
around
was-
not having the dust.
Cannot composite
Yeah, that was the
flavors.
scenario. You can't.
Can't composite.
Well, no, I'm not trying to composite. I'm meaning like they don't necessarily. Well, like okay. So even if they have to add the cheese, like I said, a bunch of different cultures. It is in. It does exist out there. And all right. As far as the dust, I feel I don't need to explain that the dust is what makes Cheetos so popular. They are. They absolutely. All right. So Cheetos, much more popular. Just in comparison, they make $1 billion on average compared to the 400 million Takis makes every year. And color appeal, I feel that that's just one of the biggest things that I see for it is that a Cheeto is a much lighter red color, where Takis get a darker red due to the spices that they add onto it. Which already that kind of makes it stick out like a sore thumb in the naturally lighter color Sour Patch Kids, where these spicy Cheetos are going to mix in well because they are still a lighter red. The dyes is not being messed up by a bunch of different spices. And even looking into the color appeal of the most popular candies in America, which one of the colorings that they use for the packaging for Reese's matches within the color scheme that Cheetos uses to a degree, which, yeah, I know that's not a huge factor, but that still affects on the color appeal that, you know, you need an appealing color to sell your candy. It's got to look good as on the wrapper just as much on the inside. Still, all right.
Okay, so
How did you
a
go
couple
that whole
things.
debate without laughing? Oh my god. Quirkiest debate of all time.
Okay, so for Takis. So the whole thing with Takis is that, for one, Takis are just like a very spicy corn chip. Now, on its own, I would say like if we're talking about like a marketing standpoint, like obviously Cheetos would have the edge in like all capacities. They're bought out by Coke, so they have like a lot more pull that way. But we're not arguing like how much they're going to sell. We're arguing how much better it'll be as a Sour Patch Kid. Now the whole thing is that a Sour Patch Kid has different textures and qualities to it. So one Sour Patch Kid may be like very squishy and gummy, which isn't going to pair well with cheese at all. The whole reason like parfaits and cream cheese or cheesecake does so well is because sweet sugars and cheeses do pair well. However, we're talking about a sour candy, and sour and cheese doesn't necessarily mix well. However, spicy dust and sour does pair very well. There's already a precedence with this with Mexican candies. So there's tamarindos, there's the rockaleta candies, there are the powder megalitos that probably would be more in line with how a sour spicy candy would taste like. So there's already going to be a worldwide appeal. Like sour plus spicy is already like in different cultures. It's also prevalent within Asian cultures. So I have no issue with it tasting all right. It's just going to be very weird to have like a Taki named candy. The thing with Cheetos is that I don't think anyone's going to fucking stomach having cheesy sour shit, because that's just not a thing. Every time they've tried to do that, like, it's always been rejected. Cheese just doesn't pair with everything. Like, it's disgusting. And that's about the long and short of my debate. If we're arguing in this scenario, what's going to make this better Sour Patch Kid, one has a precedence for tasting good, one doesn't.
I mean, that's just... well, that's just one of the three things, which is...
But we're doing Flaming Hot versus Fuego Takis. If it was just like Cheetos as a whole, then I'd have a harder time debating this. But it just goes down to you don't see cheesy Flaming Hot cheese plus spicy candies in the market, but you do see spicy sour candy in the market. That's just. And every time like Cheetos tries to divulge from what they're doing, it always reviews well, and then they get taken off the shelves. There's a reason why we don't like hear like about half of their flavors.
Well, as far as first the flavor thing, the only thing I can really back onto for that is there is a sweet sour one in well, I guess if you give it to them, because it's the hot and spicy Mountain Dew drink they did.
Yeah, hot and spicy is a precedent. Like that's just a taste like that a bunch of cultures have. However, cheese hot and spicy is not, and we're still having to do Flaming Hot Cheetos.
Hot and sour, you mean?
Yeah, hot and sour. Sorry.
Yeah, it's
hot and sour is already hot and sour is already a precedence. Like that exists already. Adding cheese into that's fucking disgusting. No one's going to eat that shit, especially if it has the texture of Sour Patches.
Yeah.
Well, still, is it
gummy, chewy cheese, like cheese curds?
Yeah, that
well,
is
actually, there are as I brought up, there is actually a lot of chewy cheese candies in Japan. That I don't know their popularity, but yeah,
I don't doubt it. But cheesy and spicy and sour, all at the same time.
Yeah, and I assume that like the testing for this is taking place in America, so like Japanese like preferences or trends for flavors wouldn't be as applicable as Mexican trends.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I don't think this one's joining the Clean Plate Club. Sorry.
Well, as far as about the color appeal and dust, though, because it is 3 categories, not because that's pretty much what I'm relying on.
Color appeal, like Takis are like in the packaging they're usually purple so that they stand out in a shelf file. Usually the big marketing colors that you use for chips is
I think it's
orange.
for the chips themselves, because like
oranges for chips, oranges, yellows for chips, and then it's reds, pinks for candies. That's usually how it goes. I guess we're kind of arguing like in circles here, because like I'm not sure what the fuck like the coloring is going to have to do. It's just like food dye coloring. Like the only difference, like, if it looks slightly better, like are we arguing it from a semantic of marketability and how much money it's going to get, or are we arguing its actual taste? Because this is saying which is going to be a better Sour Patch.
This was a very subjective thing. Like I think that my thing is I just think that as far as the candy themselves, the Cheeto one would look better because all of the spices still actually does have an effect. It makes the Takis stick out as a darker red, where Sour Patch Kids are naturally a lighter color, which the Cheetos would fall under.
Have to
I
be.
mean,
I've
that's
seen darker Sour Patch Kids. I think they have
yeah.
like a darker flavor. I don't know what that means, but
And even then, like, what's like there's nothing stopping them from just using a lighter food coloring. Really, there's nothing stopping them. The only reason why Takis are that red is because that's how they designed it to be. They designed it to be very red. They're not the most spicy things in the world,
Yeah.
but
Also,
people
Well,
are
yeah,
talking like, "Oh,
well,
this
all
is red.
can-
It must be really fucking hot." It's not.
Well, yeah, most red things use red dye 40, from what I could find.
no,
Just-
not Red
Yeah.
40. No.
I also did. Sorry, I did a
40
quick
reds.
Google, and there is actually a purple Sour Patch Kid color, so that is a bit of a darker color compared to the other
Yeah.
ones. So
Well, yeah, this was too subjective, and I could
Yeah,
not.
it's too subjective, and if we're talking about just purely what's going to make a better product, there's a precedence for Taki, and no one's going to fucking eat cheesy, sour, and spicy candy. That's just not a fucking thing.
This will be fun to edit.
Sure, yeah.
I'm leaning towards. I'm obviously leaning towards.
No,
Yeah.
I'll do
No,
that.
I think
Yeah.
I think
I'm thinking Takis.
Probably.
Sounded like a Taki sweep, yeah.
Okay. That was a brilliant debate.
Uh,
All right.
Why?
All right. Looks like we're going to our next one, which is what do we have next?
so
Oh,
I don't
Cyno
wanna
versus
say it.
Chun-Li.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Brandon's going for Cyno. Duck is going for Chun-Li. Here's the scenario.
Whoa! Surprise! Whoa!
Crystal Lake Camp.
Talking about Genshin.
Crystal Lake Camp, once a place of joy and outdoor fun, turned into a gory, bloody nightmare, has gotten far more blood on its hands than normal. When word got out to the former General Mahamantra, is that
Mahamatra.
Okay, Mahamatra.
Mahamatra.
Kino, and the Chinese world warrior Chun-Li. Their objectives are perfectly clear. With only their brains to back them up, who will be able to solve Crystal Lake's deadliest mystery? So,
Okay.
Cyno's first.
Cool. I don't doubt Chun-Li's ability to do this. I just generally think in all the areas that matters in an experience, Cyno is just going to be the better choice here and get it done faster. So, Cyno is the General Mahamatra of Sumeru, which basically means he's a super elite law enforcer, and he is a graduate of a school called the Academia. Now, just to put it into context, the Academia is the #1 school in Sumeru, and the whole region of Sumeru is the land of wisdom. So he's super, super smart. Like, there's even past graduation, he got pulled into this thing called the Darshan tournament, where like students attending knew of Cyno and decided to bring him back to compete for their class. So it was like 6 different classes. Like the whole reason he got a vision is because he was studying the law of the land cover to cover, and it appeared within the pages of his books. He even had to check with his law enforcers that it was okay for him to wield a vision while he was out on patrol, which it was. So yeah, I don't doubt Chun-Li's ability to figure out the mystery of Camp Crystal Lake. It seems pretty simple. I just believe he'll come to a supernatural deduction first, because just by nature of both series, Genshin is way more supernatural than Street Fighter. Like, you have characters like Hu Tao, who can talk to the dead and like hangs out with ghosts. And there's Chi-Chi, who's literally a zombie. And many of the enemies that Cyno has to face, like the Rift Hounds, are monsters that break the boundaries between a dimension called the Abyss. Even the most basic enemies you fight in Genshin, the Hilly Churls, are humans cursed, akin to Jason. So, and I mean, it doesn't help. It helps that Cyno himself is a reincarnation of a god named the Scarlet King. I already mentioned that he repped his Darshan in a tournament, like to show his intellect, like show how good he is. Meanwhile, Chun-Li, her whole reason becoming a part of Interpol was an act of revenge, her wanting to figure out her father's disappearance. And that forensic case took quite a while, and I think it was the only one she ever went on, because after she just became like a kung fu instructor, like after she figured out that Bison was the one who took her father down. So I don't think there'd be any issue for them, like in terms of the actual case itself. once they figure out it's Pamela, I don't think there'll be any issue with them facing her. Obviously, it's just Jason, and Cyno wields an Electrovision, which may sound like a sour spot to be in because Jason has showed some electricity immunity, but we got to remember that the Jason, and this is in Freddy versus Jason, he showed immunity to basic like ampage electricity. Meanwhile, electro elemental energy in Genshin is way more akin to the voltage and force of actual lightning. Um, and Cyno doesn't use lightning like force lightning or shocking people, whatever. He uses them to create giant talons on his hands to like chop people up. So I definitely think he has not only the voltage and ampage, but he just has the raw strength and powers to overpower Jason if he wanted to. Because I mean, you can argue against this being canon because it's just in gameplay. He's able to harm Raiden Shogun, who is the god of lightning. And the only characters that are just straight up immune to his electric powers are characters like, or bosses like the Thunder Manifestation, which is just made of lightning itself. Not barring stats, in combat, he's shown swift enough to dodge around a character named the Wanderer, who can fly around and is basically a demigod. And just his whole thing is like moving at sonic speeds. So I think he's just way too agile for Jason to ever land a hit on. But Chun-Li does have to get in close. It doesn't help that in the Street Fighter animated movie, she lost to Vega, who's another masked person with a claw. I just thought that was fun. Now, importantly, I think the Cyno is just going to be much safer in this case, just because of the differences between the law in both Sumeru and just the world of Street Fighter. The whole reason characters in Genshin get an Electrovision is because they're an outcast. Like every vision is tied to some core personality trait. Pyro is passion. Cryo is I forget what fuck Cryo was specifically, but Electro is all of them are an outcast in some way. Like Fischl is like a girl who lives in fantasy, outcast from her family. Beto is a cursed pirate who like is said to be a curse wherever she goes to. Cyno's thing is he's super like he is super into justice. So and is kind of a social recluse himself. So I think that once he learns that Jason's death was at the hands of camp bullies, I think that he'll have actually no problem just saving those who are innocent and letting the people who actually deserve to die to Jason's revenge just get what they deserve. Because literally, the law allowed him on site when Traveler entered the desert. He was out for their head. He was going to kill them had they not been skilled enough to block his barrage of attacks. So, yeah, I believe while he'll have an easier time protecting people, Chun-Li will not allow that. She's going to want to protect everyone regardless of what their situation is in the Jason case. Overall, I think it just helps that the character, literally by conceptual design, is based off of the god of death Anubis, whose whole purpose in Egyptian mythology is guiding spirits to the afterlife. This should be pretty easy for Cyno.
All right, nice.
I do have my own notes, of course. I agree both would be able to do it. However, I do have some things for Chun-Li. So I admittedly know her a bit more than Cyno, but anyways, I'll just get to what I wrote down.
All right.
So Chun-Li, as an Interpol agent, she has vast experience against a wide variety of foes, mainly Shadowloo, of course, but she's taken on like big, super strong, muscle-bound, vicious killers like Sagat and Balrog, as well as the quicker and more agile and bloodthirsty foes like Vega and Juri. She's considered a master martial artist at this point, training various people along the way in Street Fighter 6. Jason is a good fighter against, well, mainly a lot of teenagers, but at least I'm not gonna like fully discredit him with that. I'll also say that he also fought against like the psychic girl on Freddy Krueger, but I wouldn't say that he's at his best with quick and range foes, which Chun-Li is. She does have her own like key blast moves and like the big like key like Kikosho like giant bubble thing that we've seen in some of the games before. Mm-hmm. And as well, Jason got taken down by, well, basically the National Guard in the one in which he was supposed to have like just permanently died. And I don't think everyone's going to rush to try and eat the stupid worm that comes out. By contrast, somehow, the psychic and supernatural manipulative entities don't seem to be the ones that were supposed to have permanently taken him down, at least as far as I have seen. So if it comes down to backup, Chun-Li might be in a better position. possibly. I don't know. I seem more sure of it in the writing though. But if you want to take a different route on this, Chun-Li is also able to relate and psychologically reason with people who have been put into the position of being killers, like Cammy and even Jury. They even like teamed up and like against like Bison, and I think Project X Zone is what it was. And like that is like a crossover game, but it involves like characters from the same series and like how they like psychologically could relate to each other and like work off of each other. So that I feel like that isn't like too out of the ordinary to include. I didn't bother like including like Marvel vs. Capcom or anything like that.
Yeah.
Superheroes, all that.
Mhm.
And Jason has been considered the quote unquote good guy before, at least relative to Freddy Krueger. So like it's
Don't worry, guys.
it's not highly likely that she'll like suddenly turn Jason to the side of like they go and team up against Shadowloo and like Jason just bursts in and like fights all the fucking Heavenly Kings and Bison.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that be something, wouldn't it?
That would be quite a
would.
moment
That'd be
indeed.
awesome.
I didn't even say anything.
I'm sorry, Biff. You get caught in the crossfire sometimes. I'm sorry about it.
Sometimes.
Yeah, they should have made a joke relating to me, like how I said Chun-Li was perfect. Or I didn't even actually directly say that.
You haven't set us up for it.
Honestly, I'm just impressed. Like you've proven you actually know like things about Chun-Li now.
Oh, you were taking me on the spot. I'm better at like preparing shit than
Okay,
being
I'll
asked
say-
about
There's some
shit.
things I wanted to say about Jason.
I will
Oh,
say
yeah.
though, for the commenter said specifically that Cyno and Chun-Li were doing this alone. But if you want to bring back that, you do not want to bring back up for Cyno.
We do not need him. We
He knows
probably shouldn't be
the heat
bringing
up.
Yeah.
You do not
Sano's
want- you do
backup
not
is
wanna
way
let him
better
get
than
it.
just
Like,
Chun-Li's
If you want
basic
to
ass
collect,
police.
right? If you want to collect Brendan, Chun-Li actually just beat up Vega. She didn't lose. She actually won that fight.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I
that-
guess I should have said she didn't lose, but she did. She like in Street Fighter, characters that have weapons are seen as very threatening. Like obviously Versus not bearing. She did get scratched up by Vega. The only character I've seen just shrug off a knife wound is Zangief. That's just because his muscle mass is way too much to prevent it.
That's also how people who like survive like slasher movies and like Friday the 13th end up, and yet they survived at the end.
What were you gonna add for
With
Jason?
Well, okay, so you mentioned for Cyno that he's got his electricity is more like actual lightning.
Mhm.
Jason was explicitly brought back to life by a lightning bolt in Part 6, so if anything, that might help
Okay.
him.
Yeah,
Here's
when he
the
rolls
thing,
out
though.
of the grave, that's
So,
true.
Of the academia, there are 6 houses in the academia, and Cyno is a part of the house called Spontamod, which focuses entirely on elemental energy. So if he sees that his electricity is just not working on Jason, then obviously he's not going to use it. But elemental energy is inherently different than just like the natural, like pyro is a lot different than just natural fire.
Mm-hmm. And
It's
it's
magical.
wanna-
It's
in a
magical.
situation where they're trying to actually fight Jason, if stats are equalized like this, it's going to be way too hard to actually kill him. I think you don't want to actually fight him. So, and Chun-Li's the one that I see actually going to fight to the death with him to protect the Chancellors, while you said Cyno would let some of them die.
Yeah.
I want to say with the Jason thing, was it, from what I remember, it was that it brought his heart back, like it restarted it when two bolts of light.
We don't really see his heart beating in that moment. We see his heart beating in Freddy vs. Jason when Freddy brings him back. But in that instance,
Chun-Li has
I
an easy out for Jason called, like Doko mentioned, the Kikosho. The problem is that's going to put so many people in danger, because in order for her to fully, because what she did to Bison was she used the Kikosho to destroy his soul, and it destroyed an entire forest. That's going to put so many children in danger.
That's going to take out Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
She would kill
tell
all the
people
kids
to
she's trying to
evacuate.
save.
She could probably just like lure him to the other side of the lake or something where it's like not as
Jason
populated.
really doesn't leave Camp Crystal Lake that much.
He doesn't
What?
like to leave. He only leaves whenever he has a target. Like
yeah, like in
Tommy,
part
so.
2, when like someone escapes,
Oh.
and he's like, "Well, I gotta finish this."
So that I think that
Chun-Li
like,
has to,
if
Chun-Li has
Chun-Li
to evacuate the area first
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
kill Jason.
And that's
But I
assuming
do
that Jason
think with-
doesn't ever at any point get to jump on her and hacks her limbs off.
Again, she has to abide to the like a more traditional sense of law. He was going for Traveler's head the second he showed up. I think, and like he has such a strong sense of like justice to people getting what they deserve. I think he's gonna like.
And also,
I think he'll deduce why Pamela is doing the killing.
Once you
and
see
stuff like
Jason
this.
is killing people, mystery solved. It's Jason Voorhees. That's the mystery.
Yeah.
Everyone says it's
Also-
Jason Voorhees. That's the legend around camp.
I just think he has his foot.
He's
He
not
has a
exactly
foot in a
subtle,
verse
yeah.
that's way more supernatural.
Yeah,
As far
he's
as
gonna.
the
I
lightning-
believe that he's a zombie. Clearly.
As far as the lightning thing too, I do want to. One thing that I was always thinking about is like lightning from the original, like from the cloud, is like not like 5 billion volts, I believe, but it loses like 90% of its energy by the time it even touches the ground. So if they're like using it from their hands, like I'd assume that there'd be more actual force. Like even if it's not, even if he initially resists the electric part, he should be sent flying. Like he's shown to be sent flying very easily.
He's been sent flying before. Yeah.
Well, I already mentioned that Cyno was swift and nimble enough to keep up with a demigod called the Wanderer or Scaramouche. And also, in gameplay, his lightning is strong enough to harm the god of lightning, Raiden Shogun.
It's like it's rivaling gods.
I also Jason's not that good of a fighter with just the movies. Like the only martial artist he realistically fought was a boxer, and he didn't fight him.
Yeah,
he just stood there.
Like, took it, and then like,
He just
the guy was
took all his
tired,
hits until he was
Jason
tired out and then just
uppercutted
punched his
him.
head off.
Jason
that
is-
was great. Let me
Yeah,
say,
Jason's
Jason
the
takes
only good
Manhattan
part of that
down.
movie.
I don't think you would count like you would never count Mortal Kombat for Jason because otherwise
No.
Marvel vs. Capcom gets in here.
Yeah.
So I can't think of many instances of him being a great fighter. It's more like the raw strength is too much for anyone to get past, and then he just hacks them when they're tired, or just sneaks up on them to begin with by his teleportation.
Yeah. I think from where I'm standing, I think
can't
like
teleport.
Yes, he can
core of the
teleport.
the core of the debate's not really about like taking Jason down because I think they could both easily do it. Like they're both swift enough and have like the destructive potential to do it. I think like just given the scenario, it's probably down to who like figures it out first and gets to Jason first. And based on what's been laid out, I think Cyno would do that.
Well, the same with Chun-Li killing Jason. She has to destroy the forest. That's an attack destroys the forest, so she needs to do a lot more shit to do that. And Cyno can.
He's also protecting way more people indiscriminately. Cyno's just letting those bullies, leaving them there to die.
Yeah. I think Cyno. I'm going for Cyno.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go Cyno.
I'll go Cyno.
Fair.
I can only win with Genshin.
Yeah, you did what you could, Ducko. This was just Cyno's was just kind of stacked.
Yeah.
But Ducko, I believe your story. I think she turns Jason to a hero.
I love that.
Yeah,
Cyno just looks at him like, you know what? That's kind of based. Go off, King.
That's the good ending. Jason becomes the
next
hero.
Entry, we got Komi-san versus Teruhashi Kokomi. We got Larry for Komi, Biff for Teruhashi.
The most Biff-coded character ever, the anime card.
Okay. Komi and Tadano are both transferred to PK Academy, where they encounter Kokomi, the Teruhashi, the popular and beautiful student who is known for her ability to attract friends and admirers effortlessly. Komi is immediately drawn to Kokomi's natural charisma and charm, but is also intimidated by her popularity and social scares. Tadano, on the other hand, is skeptical of Kokomi's seemingly perfect image and suspects that there might be more to her than meets the eye. The school principal announces a competition between the classes to see which group can make the most new friends in the next month. Komi and Kokomi both see this as an opportunity to challenge themselves and improve their social skills, while Tadano sees it as a chance to uncover the truth behind Kokomi's facade.
The thing I will say, this is a tale, like a tale to that. What kind of school principal?
All right, make them
like,
friends.
no, guys, trying to start a new competition.
I
need you guys to
would
make
like
fun.
to say before we start, we're going to change the scenario to neutral ground because they have just said, oh yeah, no, this takes place at Teruhashi's high school, the one where everyone already likes her. So we're just changing it to just generic high school neutral ground for both of them.
They both moved there. They both
make it the high
they
school
both-
that
they both-
Psyche K goes to.
All right, so Komi is first, I think.
Komi is first, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So right off the bat, like I I could start off my debate saying that that Komi's beauty would naturally like attract like a large amount of people since a lot of people are just attracted to her. That's how it is in the show. But from what I've seen, that's literally the exact same case with Kokomi. So I really do not think that it's going to be an advantage for either of them. I think it'll just cancel out. Both will just naturally pull in a crowd this way. But the thing is, I think her beauty is the only thing Kokomi has going for her. I think because even without her beauty, Komi is just a good person. From what I've seen, Kokomi she acts like a good person, but in reality, she's actually just putting up like a facade. She's actually like a gold digger. She believes that she's like better than everybody else, better than everyone else. Komi, on the other hand, again, is actually just a good person. She's very friendly. She's intelligent. She's very athletic. She's like befriended like many types. She everyone treats her like a goddess, but like she actually just believes like she's a normal girl and treats everybody equally, no matter who they are, whether they be like emo people, just go people who have anger issues, even the straight up like befriending a yandere. Like even in the manga, when she and Tadano eventually get together, despite the yandere literally kidnapping Tadano in like one of the first episodes and threatening to kill him, she was still able to like get their blessing somewhat to allow Komi and Tadano to be together, despite her being obsessive. Like, there's really nothing really wrong with Komi. The closest you'll find with the skeletons in the closet, it's just like some how to make friends book hidden underneath her bed. Literally, the only issue is the fact that Komi suffers from like a what's it called? Why am I blanking on
social
this?
anxiety.
Yeah, like social anxiety, stuff like that. She has trouble like talking to people without just freezing up. Though this is mostly an issue at the beginning of the series. Like as the series goes on, she gets much better at opening up to people. She gets someone to actually like speak some full sentences, especially when she's on the phone. But even then, she can still like communicate by writing in a notebook and like just letting people read it out. And even then, Tadano is also here, who can just act as a translator if need be. I think Komi is just gonna have a much easier time pulling in a much better crowd. It also doesn't help that like Kokomi, she can get pretty competitive at times, and it doesn't help that this is literally a competition. If she sees that Komi is actually doing just as well, if not much better than her, I could see her facade actually cracking. And cracking her, revealing like early bits and pieces of her true personality. It has happened before. She has like slipped up at times. Like I said, she's a gold digger. She only wants the best of the best. So if you like take her to a not fancy, like a small ramen shop instead of like a fancy restaurant, she'll actually be disgusted. While Komi will probably be on board that. She's more than willing to try new things like skating, trying out video games, going to water parks and such. She really just wants to spend time and just make as many friends as possible, which is why I think she'll just have a much easier time doing this.
All right, you brought more than I thought you were going to be honest, but I think I can still argue my way out of this. So both Komi and Teruhashi, I'm going to call her Teruhashi for the sake of not mixing their names up. Both Komi and Teruhashi, they're going to be able to draw a crowd because people are just naturally smitten by them when they first see them. The difference being because of the difference in the kinds of shows they are. Komi can't communicate, tends to play things more straight, whereas Psyche K isn't afraid to just like ramp up the absurdity of the situation even more. Like Komi is just, our classmates are kind of obsessed with her, but then like they move on, they have other things to do. Like Teruhashi can't walk anywhere without a crowd forming around her. She is more popular than her brother, who is a famous actor. and that's the only time I'll be acknowledging her brother because he's the worst. Like it's not limited to people within our high school. Like she can walk out on the street and strangers will bend over backwards to cater to her. Like the reason that she falls in love with Saiki and becomes obsessed with him is because he is the only person to just like politely acknowledge her and then move on with his day. Like he just kind of like does a bow when he first sees her because that's just a generally polite greeting, and then he just moves on. And because he wasn't like audibly smitten, like he didn't react the way she wanted, that is the first time it had ever happened to her, and so that's what sparked her obsession with him. And that's the entire joke throughout the series is, I just want Saiki to go, oh wow, and Saiki doesn't do it for the majority of it, but then towards the end, she does get the reaction out of him by displaying genuine maturity as a person and be like, nah, I probably shouldn't try and be someone else just to appease him. And that does, like, she doesn't hear it, but it does get the reaction out of him. And like, for what Larry said about her being like a mean person and likes, she is a nice person. She's just like, she's nice to people even if she has self-serving motivations for it. Like she kind of just wants to boost her own ego because that's just how she was brought up. Like everyone constantly catering to her and pandering to her just made her a bit egotistical. And so naturally she just kind of wants to keep that going. But she is generally pleasant to people. Like she's nice to people in her class and will like remember small details about them so that she can drum up conversation with them. Like she will notice if background student number 42 got a haircut since the last time she saw her. She meticulously makes sure she knows everything she'll need to get her classmates to like her. And I think that's probably about the gist of it for now. Right. Like she's just a lot more cartoony in how this is presented.
Something I will say. What's your question?
Okay. Well, what is They say in the scenario that Tadano is going to be like on trying to fucking figure out Teruhashi's like actually kind of mean. Yeah. What about that?
I think he'd just fall for her. I think he would just be smitten by her.
No, he ain't. No, he
ain't. Not like romantically, but like he'd be like, oh no, she's actually pretty nice.
Well,
she would be pleasant.
Suspicious.
Like, the only person
from what I read of Komi can't communicate, there is a girl who also tries to get like between Tadano and Komi, and she's just not interested.
Yeah, it's like she's like well, for one, we already know like he's one of the few people who actually treats Komi like a normal person, despite everyone else literally treating her like a goddess. And like I said, they're together now in the manga. He wouldn't cheat on Komi like that.
It's Teruhashi and Saiki don't get together, but she just had the unfortunate she's been chasing after an asexual for the entire series, so she was kind of.
So something I will say, you say like her charm is much more cartoony with everyone chasing around, even in the streets. That's the exact same for Komi too. Again, people treat her like an actual goddess. People literally just fight each other just to partner up with her in any sort of activity. Again, she literally has her own yandere that tried to kidnap Tadano and bury him in the mountains.
It's so strange hearing you two argue this. God, you are the most human beings I've ever met.
Like I said, I'm trying not to focus too much on this because I think it's actually a very creepy point. But again, I don't think it's going to be an advantage for either. I think both are it's just gonna cancel out at the end of the day.
I think the fact that Komi will take.
Yeah, she's the only one who has a facade that can break.
Yeah, he's got a month to figure this shit out. That's a while.
I don't know if this matters.
Also,
or not,
Psychic K was one of the few people to know about it because he can read minds. And honestly, you can generally make a debate that Tadano can kind of do that too, because
What?
Because
I don't.
Elaborate.
I'm listening. No.
Because what he's one of the he's one of the few people who actually just knows what Komi is thinking at all time, even when she just doesn't say anything or do like any facial reaction. There's also just like a joke in like the basically there's a school trip where people are put together and get better. Komi was grouped up with like 2 other girls. They like slept over, had super retard. They asked Komi who her crush was, and like Komi was like, "Oh, what's a crush?" And like, "Oh my god, like she's so adorable." And it's like coming in Tadano, like they joking like send like a transit thing, like coming Tadano, like Komi's adorable. And even like while Tadano was sleeping, he actually got transmission somehow.
Oh my god,
that's fucking weird, dude.
I'm gonna say even if that isn't mind reading, that's clearly some very good reading of somebody's visible.
Yeah.
Which I
just
think
thought that was funny.
I mean, you said there are times where where Teruhashi slips up, right?
Like all this time,
very occasionally.
It's rare, but also
why does she slip up? Like, what causes that?
Is usually the main one I can think of is when the child that lives next door to Saiki and he sometimes babysits for Teruhashi visited one day while Saiki was babysitting, and the kid I think kept referring to her like an elderly woman.
Also, like there's this one moment where someone mistakes who her crush is, and that like angers her like a split second. And again, there's like also like time where they took her to like a very low down woman shop, and that actually like visit like even for a split second.
I got a defense for it though. So even if he can notice that, like, what's he going to do with that information? Because she's still very good about keeping up that facade.
Yeah,
I was thinking kind of something similar. Like, how is he going to convince like everyone else that she's actually a mean person? You should come be friends with my girlfriend instead.
He will be public enemy number 1 if he
exactly.
Tries to
how's he going to disseminate that information in a way where it has an effect on the competition?
If Komi is tied to Tadano and he gets in trouble for that, and everyone's against him, would that also negatively affect her?
No, that would absolutely not.
I'd like to say that you said
even despite. Like people like at the start of the series dislike Tadano for being with Komi, but Komi like popular doesn't dwindle at all. Okay. If anything, they might forgive Tadano for it if Komi says to forgive him.
So Komi has the one stalker, right? Teruhashi, her popularity got to the point where there was an entire cult in the school based around worshipping her. I don't mean like the falling over in the mushroom. I mean like an actual.
I remember that.
Actually, there is a club that is just a cult for Teruhashi, like getting whatever photos they can of her.
It seems like Teruhashi has more fans overall because he's more popular than a famous actor.
Yeah, again, Komi's Teruhashi's reach beats that of her brother, who is a famous actor. Like, I hate that I have to mention him again, but like she can genuinely outshine him when they're together in public.
Not that it matters too much, but she does think she got him to say "oh wow," because when she like backed him up in a room, Psyche used his ability to make someone look like him. So they said
Nemesis Blood, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy actually does just have Nemesis Blood right here. I'm going to pull up an image.
So I guess it's just about getting more fans. But probably more friends.
The thing
is, at this
Teruhashi, I see being a lot more, like, I don't want to say aggressive because that implies she'll be mean about it, but like she'll be more like.
This is a new place though. Both are starting basically at zero
nobody
here.
knows them.
Well, actually, now that I think about it, like, if both are that comically, like, they're just going to tie in the end. And if anything, Komi has one more extra person who will see through her facade. And that will technically give Komi the advantage.
I think Komi is just not going to be as pushy about it, is the thing. Because, like you said, Teruhashi is more competitive. Like, Komi will take more time to know each individual person, whereas Teruhashi will be like building rapport with as many people as she can as fast.
She doesn't need to be pushy about it. Though.
I mean,
it's like they're both comically so much that they just
People
have to
are
naturally.
already gonna come to them rather than with the vice versa. And I think Komi is gonna have a much better time keeping those friends. Again, she just generally is just a very good person.
Well, I don't see them losing the friends. Like how I see it is, you can be friends with both of them. So how it ends is probably the whole school knows them both. They're both the most popular school there, people in the school there. But one can see through the fake facade she has because she does slip up a lot, and he seems to have a really good read. So she's just going to have one extra person no matter what.
I really don't see, like, do you think Tano is going to be an ass about it? Like, again, if he goes against Teruhashi, then he's going to be public enemy number one.
He doesn't have to go against him.
She has a month to win him over.
No, he doesn't have to go against her. He has to just not be friends with her. Like you can just like Psyche. He doesn't show that same level of affection, and he's not a public enemy. He's just kind of there. That's all he has to really do.
Psyche actively goes out of his way to stand out as little as possible. That's his whole thing. Tadano wants to stand out, but like, he's just kind of generic pro-tag boy who got his entire reputation flushed down the drain on day one.
So we've been going for a bit on this. I think we need to start getting a verdict here.
Yeah, one thing I do.
Oh, okay. Do your second.
We can take it to a
vote. What you're gonna say?
Yeah, just something I was thinking about. Like, it was the whole part of the whole scenario is that like Tadano would be spending like time like trying to figure out like Kokomi's like whole like fake persona. Like, I would say that the more time he spends trying to like get to the root of like her actual persona, like her gold digger nature, that's less time that he's going to be able to spend by Komi's side, like helping translate for her and like expedite the process of her making actual friends.
The thing is, I don't see Tano just spending the entire time doing that. He'll probably just be suspicious of like he'll still just to hang out with Komi, and even then, like Komi nowadays can handle herself much better than she did like at the beginning of the series.
I'd like to say, to just boil my debate down to one sentence, it is someone with social anxiety might have gotten better by the end of the series, but she still has it, versus an outright extrovert.
Okay. Who? Adam, do you have a thought on this? We're taking a vote.
I'll be honest, I had to move, so I was only half paying attention.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, Brandon, what would you vote for?
I think Butter. I think Butter's thing of actually like if they got competitive and spiraled enough, they would be friends with just about everybody, but just having Tadano being on Komi's side. I'm actually siding with Komi.
Okay. Butter, who are you siding with Komi as well?
Oh. Yeah, Komi.
GA, who
Same
are you
reason.
for?
I think I'm on Komi's side as well, though not as much as probably
and
Brandon
I'm
and
also
Butter.
on Komi's side. I think it's a Komi victory.
Yeah, that's majority.
This is the worst fucking day of my life.
Don't worry, Biff.
You did quite well. This was a close one.
I'll give it to Kokomi.
Yeah.
I don't want the pity vote. I don't want the fucking pity vote.
Okay, alright, so this next match we've got, let me try to find it. I know this involves a certain Stewie, Stuart Gilligan Griffin versus Yoshi. I'm going for Stewie, and Adam, you're going for Yoshi again. So this is your chance. Scenario.
I'm gonna try to redeem myself.
Okay. All of the Griffin family are out for dinner, except Stewie, as the restaurant does not allow any kids. To make sure Stewie doesn't cause a time paradox again, Peter invited the best babysitter he knew, Yoshi. Can Yoshi babysit Stewie for 2 hours without the latter doing anything that will cause Yoshi to get fired? And I will start with my Yoshi. Stewie listen to me.
What? Wait.
Peter just knows.
Okay, I misunderstood the scenario. Okay.
He just knows Yoshi?
He just goes.
Oh my god, Yoshi!
Of course he would. Of course he fucking would.
On such short notice.
Stewie knows Super Mario, so
I cannot imagine Peter coming home seeing. Sorry, we debate. I cannot imagine Peter coming home seeing Yoshi do a poor job and go, "You're fired! You're fired, Yoshi!
You're fired, you stupid lizard!"
Okay. So here's my argument for Stewie Griffin. So I think Yoshi is really gonna have his hands full trying to babysit Stewie here. If Stewie is intent on causing some chaos, there's really nothing Yoshi can do about it. With Stewie's massive array of gadgets, he can overcome any obstacle Yoshi throws his way. And since his goal here is literally just to do one bad thing to get Yoshi fired as a babysitter, this should be really easy. If Yoshi does just eat Stewie and places him in an egg, Stewie should have no issue escaping. His large array of ray guns should just break the egg open, but even if that's somehow impossible, Stewie can just escape with his dimension hopping device and then come back outside of the egg. Stewie could also freeze Yoshi solid with his frozen carbonite gun to stop him from interfering, or shrink him to the point that he can't do anything. He's got a mind control device, a body swapping device. Really, there's a lot Stewie can do to stall Yoshi or mess him up. And if Stewie's feeling particularly violent, he could just beat Yoshi to death with a golf club or snap his damn neck. Yoshi isn't going to be violent with Stewie at all, as he's supposed to be protecting him and keeping him from causing chaos, so he can't just use most of his arsenal here because it's going to hurt Stewie. And even if Yoshi can avoid getting killed by Stewie, he won't be able to stop Stewie from like just destroying something in the house, like breaking a fucking vase or like destroying the TV. He's not going to be able to stop Stewie from doing that in this 2-hour time frame. Stewie's going to find a way with his gadgets, destroy some shit, and get Yoshi just fucking fired. And I do know more about Stewie that I can bring up, but I'm actually curious to hear what you're going to say about Yoshi. So my debate, that's what I got right now. That's what I'll say for now.
Okay, so full disclosure, I thought the scenario was just Stewie being one of the babies in Yoshi's Island.
What?
So I misread. I clearly misread big time. So,
It's
but
alright,
I still think Yoshi's got this. First of all, I don't think Stewie's really going to be that much of a menace relatively because Yoshi has already. He's taken care of Baby Bowser, both as a villain and in Yoshi's Island DS, he's one of the actual babies you can have ride him. So I think already he has a lot of experience putting up with like an actual evil, bratty character. And I mean, I imagine Stewie's not going to be on the same level as Bowser, who he definitely has a lot of experience with. Second of all, I think just putting Stewie in an egg would be a very viable strategy because, oh God damn it.
Blood.
It's alright.
Okay, well, wait, no, okay. The scenario did not say stats were equalized here.
Oh, come on!
You, so,
Hold on! We assume it is!
Come on now.
We assume it is!
Yoshi loses.
I got nothing.
Yoshi wins.
It's Stewie!
What is Blood waffling about?
Yeah, Yoshi just flattens Stewie into a pancake, sure.
Lost!
We're debate. We're never letting your ass debate for Yoshi again, Adam. You failed.
Yeah, you won!
Okay, I'm sorry. I was completely wrong.
Well, we sure did pick a fast one for the last one of the episode.
There we go.
Yeah, what a note to
Victory
end
is
on.
mine!
How could you fumble with this? It was.
I don't know.
It was a great Yoshi win.
That was a fun.
Thank you guys for watching this Lightspeed debate.
Bye, guys.
See you
See you next
guys.
time.
Yeah.